Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Staying in the Conversation with me, Becca. So, today's topic is love and firm foundations. And just before I begin, I just wanted to remind you exactly what these conversations are and why is it important to stay in them. So, what came to me just before I jumped on the call and hit record was that with anything in life, be it a bedtime routine, exercise, a food, a dieting with food, it doesn't have to be like mad dieting, just any food that you eat, that is a diet. Um, so it's just anything you do, whether it's a bedtime routine, it's around food, it's around exercise, there has to be a foundation in there. Building a house, there's a foundation. There has to be something solid, unwavering, unmoving that, because it's not a force, it allows you to do it. That this firm foundation, it's so solid, nothing can break it. You can get a bit wobbly sometimes, but the wobbly space happens on top of the firm foundation. So hopefully I can paint a picture here in your imagination. So imagine you've got this solid, firm foundation, and then you build on top of that. So with that solid, firm foundation, so for example, a bedtime routine, I'm very sort of strict with my bedtime routine. So when the reason that is, and the reason I can stick to it, is because of that firm foundation. And I have a firm, solid belief that sleep is very, very important. And when I don't get enough sleep or I go to bed a lot later, even if I wake up later, I still don't feel great. So that's, my personal life. And, I'm not telling you to go to bed earlier. But if you feel inclined to do that, go for it. But just as an example, having that, I've got this firm foundation that sleep is very important. And I've had evidence, in my life, in my experiences, that is true. So then I can stick to this, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock bedtime because of this firm foundation. The same with an exercise regime or a dieting regime. If there's a firm foundation, now for me personally, I have never dieted in the sense of I don't know, the way society is now or has been when I was a teenager, where people would diet to lose weight, or like sort of like losing weight dieting, that kind of thing. Whereas for me, a diet, it just consists of what you eat. We all have a diet, and it consists of whatever foods. So I've never really been big on that because I don't have my solid foundation is that we should just enjoy our food and eat and eat healthily but enjoy our food. So that's my solid foundation in that. So I don't believe in dieting to lose weight, so to speak. So I don't want to lose my point here. The point is that when we have these solid, firm foundations in something, we can then successfully build on top of it. If, for example, someone's like, oh, right, I really like that idea of going to bed early. That's a really good idea. I want to start going to bed early because I go to bed really late and I'm always tired. I want to do that. Oh, but I can't because, I've got so much things to do and I like watching TV in the evenings and I'm just not tired at 8 o'clock. So if that's the foundation you're going on, that's the foundation for an early bedtime. The result is the equals, after the equal sign is you want an early bedtime. But in the foundation, the making of the foundation is I can't and I'm not tired. You're not going to equal an early bedtime because that's those words that you're using is building that foundation. So I didn't deliberately build this foundation of early bedtime. It just suits me in that sense. But I am deliberately building a firm foundation in my spirituality, in the spiritual essence of who I am and what I stand for. So this conversation that I'm talking about is of our true nature, is of the true nature that we are 100% human and 100% spiritual. Now, I know the word spiritual and spirit and soul and all these words have baggage, and it means different things to different people. So stick with it if you know, hang in there if it means something completely different to you. Keep listening, and you might just hear something that makes sense for you, and you can substitute the word spirit and spiritual for something, if I can get my words out, for something that makes sense to you, that resonates with you. So this conversation is inside out understanding that our world on the outside, if it's happening on the outside, it means that it's first been created on the inside. And you know, I don't mean our organs and all of that, like on a deeper level, there is this deeper part of us that creates and makes these things happen. And so when we are creating in that way, when we are exploring in that way, not creating, when we are exploring our human nature and our spiritual nature in the way that I am, we have to deliberately create firm foundations. Now, the best foundation so far that I found, and the way that I express it, is love. Because when you have this solid foundation of love and you build everything on love, you can't go far wrong, because love doesn't hurt, love doesn't limit, there is, you know, no bounds to love. And again, if love isn't your word, find one that is. Find that one resonates. But there is for me, when I talk about love and firm foundations and this understanding, this inside out understanding that we work from the inside out like a projector. We are projecting our life from the inside out. Life is lifing through us. And sometimes it can really feel like everything's coming at us. There are bills to pay, there are wars happening, there's this, that, and the other. And it's like sometimes it's information overload. So when we don't have these foundations, that's when information overload happens and overwhelm. And when we sort of, you know, we were in the world like that, and we get to that overwhelmed state, we fall and we crumble and we don't know which way to turn, we don't know what to do and how to sort of pick ourselves up again. So we're kind of just striving to get through life, and we're working hard, and we're suffering, and it's not fun. Life isn't fun. It's just get to the next point and get to the next this and get to the next that. There isn't any element of fun there. There may be moments of fun, but not necessarily as an overall thing. Fun isn't the priority. But when we take a step back and we realize the truth of what's actually happening, that all this outside stuff cannot be on the outside if it hasn't been first created on the inside. Now, that can sometimes sound like a bitter pill to swallow, like it's your fault, and it really isn't. That I will come back to fault and blame, but for now I want to stick to love and firm foundations. And then before the end of this video, I'll say something a bit about that, because that is a very important topic. So when we can see that everything is first and foremost created on the inside, that it can feel like this intense sense of blame. But then when we really look, oh, it's created by me. I created that mess. That means I can uncreate it and recreate something new. So when we see the power in the fact that we are the creators of our reality, we can then start setting up our firm foundations. And those foundations could be on love, you know, that if I live by love, if I live by what feels loving, feels kind, feels nice, and I live by that, I can't get it far wrong. Because if you're being loving and kind to yourself, and you're being loving and kind to everyone around you, you're being in service. You're being the person you're supposed to be because you're following these inner guidances, this wisdom within you. You're following that gut intuition. And when we do that, when we follow that space inside of us, that love, that heart-led space, we can't get things wrong. We can't get the game of life wrong. There isn't a wrong way. Even death doesn't mean it's wrong because it's all part of being human. Like I said at the beginning, we are 100% human and 100% spiritual. It isn't an either or, it's a 100% both. And in essence, it's one thing, but again, another topic for another day. So when we know this, when we fully know, and we lean in on this spiritual energy, and we lean in on this firm foundation that we build for ourselves, that we find our words that work for us, and we build on these firm foundations that we work from the inside out. Love is the only energy that is flowing through us and around us and in us and is us. That we are that energy, that power of love. And so when we tap into that loving energy, you can't be angry and loving at the same time. It's just not possible. You can't deeply feel a sense of love for someone and scream and shout at them at the same time. It's just not, it doesn't work that way. You know, try it. If you're not going to be angry at someone in that loving space. When you get angry and you snap, it's because you've forgotten that foundation. You've forgotten that true nature, that loving space. You've just forgotten it temporarily. And then we tap back into it, and instead of belittling ourselves and berating ourselves and judging ourselves, we tap back into love. Again, we love ourselves, we forgive ourselves, and we keep going back to that space of love. You're going to have this beautiful, heart-led, loving life. Now, I'm not saying that the wars aren't happening and there aren't bills to be paid and shit doesn't happen. I'm not saying that. Things are still happening, life is still happening, because there's like 8 billion of us, and we all have thinking in the moment, and we all are creating our reality from the inside out. So it's not just us at play in the human sense of the world. But in the spiritual sense of the world, the only person we can change, and the human, the only person we can change and develop and get curious about is ourselves. We can tap into that space of love for ourselves, for the rest of the world, because with each person that moves into that space of love and kindness, it allows every person you meet the opportunity to move into the space of love and kindness, because they can see you being loving and kind and caring and just, free and happy. And it's like, oh, what have you got that I don't? And then you share something, you share your wisdom, you share your insights, and it resonates with them. And so then they are able, and that's how, this gets shared, this conversation keeps on going, because there is a oneness here. There is this oneness energy where we are all connected, that there isn't a separation. And so when we see that somebody else is having an easier life than us, it can bring about that sense of curiosity. What have they got that I don't? What do they know that I don't know? And so when we tap into that space of love, our lives, despite the circumstances around us, our lives can be free-flowing and loving and peaceful. Because even though we may not agree with everything that's happening in the world, we may not like the things that we see in the world, we may not like these things, but there can be an inner peace still. There's no point in having worry and fear when there's already enough worry and fear in the world. If you want the war to stop, or the thing that you don't like, the bad behavior in your children, or you want your friend to stop doing something they're doing, if you want things to change and be different, you change and you be different. And the best place to start is love, and this deep sense of self-love, this deep sense of universal unconditional love. Not the love that you can buy in the store, or the love that you can buy in the spa or in the bubble bath. Not that kind of love, like deep, real love that you can unconditionally love yourself and just watch it pour into the world. Like watch that love seep out from you and into everyone you meet, because when we live from that space, from that gentle space of love and kindness, and we build that solid foundation from there, and then we build on top of it, we can create communities of love and kindness and this amazing sense of peace and tranquility. We can create that. We can co-create that together as one consciousness. It is possible. So it is just really tapping into that, your true nature. That's what these conversations are about. That's the foundation of this conversation. That we are one, and we work from the inside out, and there is only one energy. And it doesn't matter what you call it, whether you call it love, like I have done in this video, or God, the universe, source, or just energy. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's just that deep inner knowing that there is an energy guiding us, living through us. In order for us to be here as human beings, for us to have conversations, for us to uncover and rediscover the truth of our human nature, our human and spiritual nature, why we're here, what's the point? And for me, more and more I see that the point in being here is to build on these firm foundations, is to live from a space of love and joy, is to have fun. And we have it set up in our society that we work and we pay bills and we work and we do these things and we go on a holiday and we pay for things, and we have this, it's an exchange, isn't it? And maybe hundreds of years ago we'd exchanged goats and chickens and beans and dates and things like that, and like things were exchanged differently, and then money came into it, and I don't know the history on that. If anyone does, feel free to comment below. But now we've got it set up that it's an exchange. Money comes and money goes, and when we sit in that space of love, life works for us in a better way. That this energy behind life has a better plan for us, has a better way, an easier way. So whatever it is that your heart desires, that whatever you're hearing in this video, whatever your life is like right now, when we, when we see that life has our back, and you can just tap into that faith and that trust that there is this energy holding you. Life works out for you, never against you. No matter how bleak it may seem, there is a way for you to get out of your own way and allow this energy to feed you the wisdom that you already have inside of you. Because my job here as a soul mentor, as a YouTuber, my job is to just guide you, is to wake up this curiosity in you. Like, hey, there's this awesome, magic, amazing thing. Do you want to know what it is? It's to wake up this thing inside of you, and this awesome, magical thing. It's you. You have it inside of you, and all it is just remembering. It's just tapping into it. It's that remembering, oh yeah, I've known something like that before. This makes sense. It doesn't feel new, but somehow it's mind-blowingly, amazingly new. And when we really stay with it, we stay with this conversation, we stay with the foundations and the love and the peace, and we get curious and we continue on this journey, it just gets better and better. And we get to see things again and again. The same words mean different things, and we get to see it on a deeper level. And we get to truly understand what it means that life works from the inside out. What does that actually mean? You know, take a minute, take 5, take 10, take an hour and sit. And what does that mean if life really works from the inside out? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for your life? What can be different in your life now that you know that life works from the inside out? What could change? What insights can you now hear that you couldn't hear before? You know, there is gold in this conversation. There is just pure magic. And I have been within this conversation for about eight years now, I think, 7, 8 years. And it still, there is moments where it's like just completely mind blowing. Completely mind blowing. It never ends. There isn't an end. And I don't think the creator of this world designed it to end. It was meant to be this continuous journey of exploration and curiosity and challenges and fun and joy and love. And it's meant to be like that. So I said I'd talk a little bit about blame as well. Blame and fault, you know. So I've said many times that we work from the inside out. Now, the way that can sound is that, you know, if stuff is going on outside in your life and you don't like it, it's not good stuff, that means you created it. You know, that's what I'm saying, that you created it, you did it. So from our thinking, we create stuff. So our thinking gives us a feeling in that moment, and from that inside, from those foundations, from those stories, from those thoughts, that's what creates our realities. So our words, what we talk about, what we think about, what we give attention to, that creates our reality. So it can sound very much like, oh, okay, so it's my fault. So I'm the problem. No. What's happening is we innocently, it's completely innocent. We have these stories, but kind of like on the back of lorries it says, you know, cyclists be careful, this is the blind spot, so the wing mirrors cannot see past this point. So as we're growing up in the world, we have a view on how life works. Oh, if I touch something hot, it hurts me, it's hot, it burns me. So action reaction, it looks like the outside world is causing you were feeling, because you know, if you didn't touch the hot stove, you wouldn't be in pain and you wouldn't be feeling pain. So it really looks like it's the outside. It looks like that the hot stove is causing your anger. You're angry now because you touched a hot stove. And it looks like it's coming from there. It really, really does. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of being human, that we get to fall for this illusion. We get to believe in it. It's like when we're watching a movie, we get to truly deeply believe in the emotions that are happening in the movie. That, you know, they're really going to prison, or they're really you know, whatever. I can't think of an example. You know, we're really believing in what's happening in the movie. So if we think of our lives like a movie, of course we're believing it. And there are plenty of stuff as humans that are amazing things to believe, and they're not harmful to us. They're not a disservice. You know, so in that sense, it doesn't need changing. There's no change necessary, but seeing deeply that our feelings are coming from the inside, our feelings are coming from thought and not the outside, because the outside cannot be there without the thought, because there is nothing outside of thought. So what it is that we've never been told this. We've never been told that thought creates our reality. So we innocently believe in that, you know, this is fact. This makes me sad. this makes me happy, this makes me angry. And none of those things, nothing in this world can intrinsically make you happy or sad or angry or anything. It's not possible. Because if that was the case, we would have the cure to depression and anger management, we'd have the cure to it. Because then if something made you peaceful, we'd just give that thing that makes you peaceful to everybody who isn't peaceful. So when we look at it like that and really break it apart, it makes sense. It makes absolute sense. So there isn't blame here. I'm not blaming you for the creations that you've made. It's amazing what we can do. We have that power to create all these things and cause challenges for ourselves and get stuck in things and get confused and upset and all sorts of things and all sorts of messes, myself included. But it's all done innocently because we didn't know, and we can't know what we don't know. So once we wake up to that, we wake up to that truth that, really life is happening from the inside out, then that's when we can make a change. That's when we can't unknow. Once we know that there's a different way of doing things, that, oh, okay, so if that thing can't make me angry, why does it always make me angry when I go to it? Or when I'm there, or when that person's there, why am I always angry? So if the foundation is that person makes me angry, you're building on top of that foundation. So every time that person comes along and does whatever they do, you're going to feel angry because your foundation of that person is they make me angry. If you have a foundation of a circumstance, oh, if that ever happened to me, I know I wouldn't be able to handle it. Your foundation is I cannot handle it. So if that circumstance happens, if that's where your focus is and that circumstance happens, that's what you're building on. You can't handle it, so there's probably going to be a breakdown or something. So it isn't blame, it's opening a door for curiosity. Because then when we start blaming ourselves and feeling guilty and shame, all of these things, that's the foundation you're building on. So you've got this blame, guilt, shame, and then you're going to build on that. So it's choosing which foundation do you want to build on. So, okay, I've said we work from the inside out. Thought creates our reality. You create your very own reality. You have the power to change your reality. What does that mean for you? What are you hearing? From which foundations are you hearing it from? Can you get curious as to what those foundations are? Because when we go with defense and, oh no, I don't like what Becca's saying, she's blaming me for this, then this, and, whatever, I get it, I've been there. So if that's what's coming for you and there's this defense in your heart or confusion, that's the foundation you're coming from. And it is that simple. It really, really is. It may not be easy to begin with, but it is that simple. It's like with anything, like once you've done it a few times, like a recipe, like I love cooking, I love baking. Once I've baked something a few times, 2, 3, 4 times, I no longer need the recipe. So sometimes, even with this, it may be quite difficult and it may be like, oh, well, that's just nonsense, that's not for me. But then something in you may have woken up. And then you come back to this conversation and it's like, oh, actually, maybe it made sense. And you can find a way for it to work for you, or not. It's perfectly fine. But I do recommend getting curious with it and playing with the idea that we have these foundations, we have these set concrete foundations in different areas of our lives, and we don't even realize it. We don't even notice that we've got these foundations. We don't even realize they're there. So once we get curious about them and we wake up to them, we can then explore them. and decide, do we want this foundation? Do we need this? Is it serving me? Is it serving the rest of the world to stand on the foundation that that person or thing or place makes me angry or scared or anxious? Is that a useful foundation to have? Or is it better to have a foundation of love and kind and peace? You know, what works for you and your life? And it really is that sense of curiosity. It really is just getting curious. And you know, if you're brand new to this conversation and this is the very first video you've ever listened to, you know, feel free to listen to the rest of my YouTube channel. You can also Google the 3 principles, which is the foundation of everything it is that I talk about. The person who coined it in the 1970s is called, or was called, Sydney Banks. So, you know, don't take my word for it. Like, really get curious and build your own foundation, build your own journey, have your own journey, your own experience with this. That when we truly and deeply come from a space that serves us, you know, that for me, love really works. So when we really come from that loving space, everything else in life feels lighter and easier, like going to work, these YouTube videos, all of it. It's a lot easier. I can just sort of, I can trust, not sort of, I can definitely trust. There is this essence of peace and trust that life, this love energy, this life energy will give me the words to say, you know, will help me make sense of the unexplainable, because this topic is this topic of spirituality and life working from the inside out. It has no words. It's before the words, it's the formless energy. And yet the only way we can communicate about it and you know, kind of uncover it, it's like this little secret puzzle that never really fully makes sense, but it feels nice when I talk about it, and it feels nice when I listen to it. And it feels nice when I explore and experiment and get curious about it. So I make a video on it, and I make another one and another one, and I talk about it, and I have mentoring, and I do this, and I mentor people, and all these things happen. And it's how do you put words on the unexplainable? And then there are books on it, loads of books, hundreds of books, and hundred thousands of YouTube videos on this topic, because there is some truth in what I'm saying. And note that I said some truth, because there isn't an ultimate truth. There isn't a one size fits all. There isn't a, this is true for Becca, so it must be true for you. It's just not, it's not possible. There's too many of us. When we look at this logically and practically in our everyday lives, we are all different. But there is a place in us that is exactly the same, which is we feel what we think, and our thinking, our words, our foundations, that creates our reality. So if we want our reality to change, if we want there to be change on the outside world, we need to change those foundations. Those foundations need to change. And the best place to start, if you're wondering, oh, okay, I'm ready, I want to change my foundations, the best place to start is self-love. The best place is to get curious about yourself. What are your views on you from the inside out? Do you believe in this love energy, this higher power, this something behind life? Do you trust life? You know, do you trust that life is for you and not against you? Well, I think I get 2 quotes muddled up, but I think it's Albert Einstein. There was this quote: "You can live life 2 ways, um, either as if nothing's a miracle, or as if everything is. Choice is yours." And children are the best examples of that. So when children are exploring the world, you know, from toddlers to much older kids, they don't necessarily care what people think about them. If they're sad, they're gonna cry and scream, and if they're happy, they're gonna laugh and giggle and run and play and jump. They're gonna do what feels right. They're gonna listen, they're in perfect alignment with their true self. They haven't yet developed this foundation that we have to be different, that we have to control ourselves and, not follow our heart, and um, we have to abide by what other people think. We have to be careful and not do certain things because what will other people think? What will grandma think? And what will the neighbours think? A 2-year-old really couldn't care less what the neighbours thought. If a 2-year-old's going to have a tantrum, they're going to have a tantrum. If a 2-year-old is going to sing at the top of their voices, they are going to sing at the top of their voices. And this is what I'm talking about. That there is magic, there is a miracle in this life. Always. There are miracles all the time. And when we live with that childlike, carefree, fun, play, curiosity, everything just kind of slots into place, kind of like a Tetris puzzle that you can just, it's all different shapes and different sizes and whatnot, but it kind of just slots into place quite nicely. And the reason that is because our foundation is in that moment, it's the present moment, because that's what a toddler's life is. You can tell them about yesterday and tomorrow, and they can say those words. Oh, yesterday I went to the park. They can say those things, and tomorrow I'm going to school. And they can say these words, but they don't necessarily know what it means. If you talk about a biscuit to a 2-year-old, they want that biscuit now, because the only thing that exists in their world is now. So if we take a leaf from Albert Einstein, when we live every day as if it's a miracle, and we take a leaf out of the book of a 2-year-old and live carefree, we get this sort of like ebb and flow of life. That it kind of like we're just gently going downstream, and it's just nice, and there's a nice breeze. And sometimes there's a bit of a don't know if is it a waterfall, probably. I went into this metaphor not knowing much about it. Sometimes there's a bit of a waterfall and we get shaken up a bit and it's a bit confusing, we don't really know where we are, and then we go back, back on stream. And when I lose my way and I sort of get lost in the moment and I snap or I shout or I get upset, I do say that I'm having a tantrum, or I've had, 3 tantrums today or whatever. I call them tantrums because that allows me to not take them so seriously. Because when I'm calm and peaceful, that's my natural state. That's ground zero. And when I'm riled up and having a tantrum, it just means I've forgotten that my true nature is peace, love, and wisdom. I've just forgotten that, and I'm believing the illusion that I'm not. I'm believing that. And so calling it a tantrum allows me to not take it so seriously, because a toddler's tantrum really isn't that serious. And even the toddler will let you know that, because they would have this massive meltdown and then 5 seconds later they're perfectly fine because they saw a train and they started playing with it, and that's that. And when we live our lives like that, it can still be very practical. I can kind of hear, yeah, but that's a 2-year-old, and they don't have bills to pay and they don't have this and they don't have that, and da 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 da. And I can so hear that that's what people would be saying. But again, foundations, come back to that starting point. What are you building your life on? Are you building your life on, yeah, but life is difficult. Yeah, but there are bills. I love paying my bills because I'm getting something out of it. It's an exchange. We work, and we then the people who pay us, our bosses who pay us, they're exchanging one for the other. It's all an exchange, and it's a beautiful, magical exchange. How amazing that we can do that. That we can exchange money for food, money for holidays, money for a house, money for whatever else it is that we pay, electricity, internet, all of these things, they're all amazing and magical. And if we look at all of these things with childlike wonder, they become softer and less of a headache. They just naturally, as a byproduct, they're still there. You know, I'm not sitting on a beach eating ice creams all day, um, not paying any bills and just having loads of money. You know, I'm not saying life is going to be like that. That you know, that you're just going to sit there and do nothing and everything's going to come to you. That's let's be realistic. You know, life isn't that. But life doesn't have to be this hard, difficult, uphill struggle either. There is a place of balance in between. And the starting point depends on where your foundations lie. You know, what are you truly believing in? What are you standing on? Is it solid? Is it in service to you? And are you reminding yourself? Are you consistently building that firm foundation to make it stronger? It's like I'm very visual, so I'm picturing this like metal rectangle. So it's like every day when you listen to something that's helping you and serving you, you meditate or you go for a walk or you wash the dishes and you just think, oh, how can I be more loving to myself? It's like adding another stick and making this metal cube or whatever, this firm foundation stronger. It's just making it a bit stronger, adding another pillar and just building it up. And what can you do for yourself that can build this your life foundation? What foundation of life are you standing on? It's like we have this main foundation that we're standing on always. And for me, it's magic. Life is magical, and we work from the inside out. That is my firm life, you know, foundation. And then we have lots of little foundations about other things in our life, other areas, you know, food and what do I like to do on the weekend and what do I like to watch on the TV, you know, little ones like that. And sometimes this big life foundation, it can feel really scary and big. So if that's a bit challenging for you to sort of build that firm foundation, that it just you don't know where to start with something little. Like, do you have a favorite cup that you drink out of every morning? Can you change that cup and drink from a different one? Does your coffee or tea still taste the same? Do you drink tea or coffee or neither? You know, those we have foundations in every area of our life. It's there. We just don't notice it. So play with something smaller, you know, if your main sort of firm foundation, if that's tricky for you to kind of get a grasp on, and I don't know which brick to start with, it's a bit, you know, you said metal, now you're saying bricks, I'm a bit confused now. Jokes aside, if that is too challenging, then I do advise you to start with something slightly easier, like, you know, something gentler, like what you like to watch on TV or what you like to drink in the mornings, or any time of day for that matter. The important thing is getting curious, and if you are watching this video and you are struggling and life is quite difficult for you at the moment, then my heart deeply, deeply goes out to you, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love and healing and um, wisdom and guidance and the ability to deeply trust in yourself and to trust in life and to trust that you are a miracle and you are so amazing and you are doing way, way, way better than you think you are, because we are our worst critique. We will never criticize anyone else as badly as we criticize ourselves. So remember that if you can. And if not, then just watch this video again. And there'll be plenty more videos where this one came from. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. There's a police car going by. Confusing. Anyways, I'm human too. So, where was I? This video is coming to an end. That's where I was. So I hope there was something helpful here in today's episode of Staying in the Conversation. If you liked today's video, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment below, and email me if you want to ask any private questions. Otherwise, feel free to ask questions publicly in the comment section. But yeah, either way, have a beautiful week or weekend or wherever you are, beautiful day, evening, wherever you're watching this, whatever time zone. Have a beautiful life, beautiful, magical life, because you are a true miracle. Lots of love. Bye.